Good evening, everybody. My name is Colin Livingston. Welcome to Talkin' Torque. Another Thursday here. Got to start my episode off today with an apology to my good friend Lachlan Cross, last week's guest. Put in one of the best performances, and I think I did one of my better jobs asking questions and keeping him online. And turns out that we had terrible audio for whatever reason. My sound system didn't pick up the audio. We heard ourselves fine. It just didn't broadcast. So apologies to you, Locke. Apologies to anyone who has listened. It's such a shame because it was actually a really good show. I think you can watch it and you can really get the gist of what we were talking about. You can hear it. It just doesn't sound good. So if you're a pure podcast person listening on, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, whatever it is, apologies again. We're going to do better. Hopefully, this episode is starting a bit better than last week's show. Really interesting week of racing. I'll cover that before I get to my guest. Last week, my least favorite in the world of Formula One, Helmut Marko, aka Tingus Pingus, just cannot help himself from saying nonsense. Don't know if he's going senile, but took a shot at Fernando Alonso. There were a lot of rumors after the Mexico race that Alonso was going to be immediately slotted to replace Perez. Before the race last weekend in Brazil, Marco comes out and basically says that he thought it was Alonso making the accusations or spreading the rumor himself, in the hopes that the media would pick it up and pressure Red Bull to make the switch. Yeah, kind of crazy. Really, really strange race that pole sitter Charles Leclerc, hydraulic issue, wasn't able to get through the formation lap before his car locked up. He spun, hit the fence. Really strange. Big crash on the opening lap. Took out 4 cars. 2 of them came back after the red flag. Kind of a yawn fest of a race, to be honest. That the only really interesting battle was Alonso and Perez, oddly enough. And Alonso put on such a driving exhibition on how to defend, how to position, where to use the tools that his car had to his advantage. It was just amazing that a driver, the better driver in the less capable car was able to hold off the far superior car with a driver who's starting to show that he's maybe not obviously they're all very, very talented, but he's just not able to get, Perez is not able to get out of the car what's there. And then getting to watch a little bit of the Superkart USA SCUSA Super Nats from Vegas, just awesome. I mean, we're 2 months into our off season already here for go-karts, and getting to watch some of my friends racing, and some of even just watching random people, but getting to listen to the broadcast team, the kart chaser crew of Xander Clemens, Henry Baudet. Henry, you are an absolute fucking beauty. Just love you. And Rob Howden, awesome Canadian guy. Just listening to those guys do the coverage. Thanks for the shout out earlier today, Henry, too. Means the world that you didn't forget who we are. Looking forward to seeing you guys at another race, but I'll be tuning in most of tomorrow until I go on vacation on Saturday. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens. Crazy track though. 1,400 foot front straightaway. Those shifter carts. I haven't seen the telemetry myself, but through the broadcast, they're talking about how these guys are coming close to hitting 160k an hour on the front straightaway. That's 100 miles an hour. That is crazy, especially on a track that's built into a parking lot that doesn't have a lot of grip. But that's enough about my nonsense. This is a guest that I have wanted to have on for quite some time. We just took a little while to get our schedules. Holds the distinction of being my oldest friend. Now, that doesn't mean a lot. That just means that we met each other at a relatively early age, but somehow managed to stick together through a lot of ups and downs. As I am about to hit 50, that means that well, I won't say. We'll see if he can remember what age we were when we met. But for your viewing enjoyment, I get to bring on my good friend here, Shaye Patras. How are you doing? Oh, hold on. Remember you told me to turn off your mic?
I did. Now we got audio issues once again.
How about I do that pretty much every week too, by the way. So
impressive.
You get the distinction of being the first in this new configuration though, where I actually get to talk to you and look at my computer at the same time. So hopefully, if we get people watching, I'll be able to respond to the comments, there's not a lot for me to do today. Cause like I was telling you before, we jumped on, I don't have a lot loaded because we're kind of just going to rehash a friendship that's lasted, how many years do you think it's been? How old were we when we met?
Well, I don't remember. I mean, smashed the wagon into the house.
That was going to be the follow-up question, but yeah.
So I don't know, how old were we then? I was not. I think I was driving the wagon, and you were pushing the wagon.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which means that you were steering.
Yeah. Well, steering a wagon, whatever that looks like.
Well, I was just the propeller. I was the engine. You were the one that steered it into the house.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't handle well.
Wow. I'll tell you what, I'd be able to handle that wagon like a pro now, but
I don't know. It's got to be 45-ish years, give or take, 3-4 years old. I don't know, something in that range.
We were both 3 years old.
Yeah.
And so that goes, that for me is knocking on 47 years.
Yep. That's a long run. I'm not far behind you.
Well, yeah. I mean, we always make jokes about whether or not we're going to make it. To a certain age or what have you. What was because nobody knows what this is, but so you're in the wagon, I'm pushing. This is at your house. So we're in the back of your house. We're on your little patio in your old, not your old parents' house, your parents' old house. What was the fallout from that action?
Oh yeah, old Eddie was not happy. Like
so your dad?
Yeah, my old man Eddie, he was not pleased. I just remember you pushing, and there's too much horsepower. I couldn't really manage with the lack of control.
There's a lot of understeer in that wagon.
yeah. And so we ended up smashing it in the side of the house, which, I mean, it's a little wagon. What's it going to do to a house? But yeah, he came out and he was pretty chapped about that. And that was the end of that. You were gone, banned forever, I think.
I was kicked out of your house
forever. And
I was told to go home and to never come back.
Yeah. At 3, and
at 3,
at that time, I guess at 3 years old, you can wander the streets and head back to wherever you go.
And I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. I don't know how long that last days, maybe.
I think I was back later on that day.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it works. I mean, we had, I think, not necessarily a unique childhood, but it'll seem like a unique childhood based on today's standards. I was telling a story, and I swear I'm not going to make this about me. I always have to be very conscious that this is about the guest. But I made a comment to Parker, and this wouldn't have applied to you, but you would have seen it when we were kids, that even at like 8 years old, my parents would send me to the store to buy cigarettes with a note.
Yeah.
And Parker looked at me and he's like, so this is my son, Parker. He looks at me and he goes, that was a thing? I'm like, hell yeah, you could do pretty. He's like, and kids never use that like to their own advantage. I said, I was 8 years old. What the hell did I want with cigarettes? I didn't care. I didn't know anything about it. Like I honestly never did use a letter. Like to this day, I don't care about cigarettes. Like they never appealed to me.
Yeah.
But if I could have got a letter to buy a 6-pack, damn, that would have been awesome. Yeah. But you saw that, right? You saw, like, it wasn't just us. It was a thing.
Yeah. Meridian Mall. I think there was the place. I mean, there was the Husky across the way, but
it was
Meridian
the
Mall,
Husky. Yeah.
I think you could get in there too and get cigarettes. And
wasn't that known as the Ready Mart? What was known as something else? It wasn't a Husky.
Geez, that'd be a long time ago.
When, well, that goes back to the 70s.
Yeah, I don't know what it would have been before Husky. No, you're right. Happy Mart, I think it's called, because they sold
Yes.
Happy Pop and all that shit.
And then I saw the thing. Somebody posted a thing this week. So the oddest, talking about the little like 300 ml glass bottles
Stubbies.
that had the foam label on them. So they were like a styrofoam label of like Pepsi and all that. And I saw the picture. I'm like, oh man, like I instantly flashed back to when we were kids, because we figured out that the one that had 6 vertical lines on it was the one that had the prize.
Yeah,
like
you flip that cap
so
open.
we go, and the store never figured out what we were doing. And we go through hunting through all these things, looking for this, that, and the other. Like we went on a rampage for a summer where we didn't buy a pop, but we were having pops every single day.
Yeah, good times. I don't know how we stumbled onto that. We didn't. We weren't smart enough for that, but somebody did.
Oh, absolutely, we did. It was empirical data after years of research,
action-based research. Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure.
Were you part of the? I had another run like that in high school, because McDonald's had a deal. There were 2 deals that we lived off of. That I don't know what the deal with my with the broadcast is. This happened last week, where Lachlan made a gesture and all of a sudden balloons started flying, and you can't see what I'm looking at, but like I did this, but I wasn't talking, like I wasn't doing a peace sign, and all of a sudden there's balloons flying. I don't know what the fuck that is. Sorry. But when we were in high school, we figured out McDonald's had an offer that if you ordered a Big Mac and you didn't get it within 2 minutes, your next one was free. And like, I think over a summer, I probably had about like 70 free Big Macs, because you figured out that you just go to the drive-through at noon. It was going to take longer than 2 minutes to get through. So that was the big one. And then Pizza Hut had a 5-minute, or was it?
It was 5 minutes at lunchtime that you'd have your pizza
to get your pizza.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your pizza was free.
Yeah.
And we'd go there every day and we'd get free pizza.
Yeah, but you remember George Erickson stole one of the timers the one time. So we'd pull in the parking lot. George would start the timer, we'd order, and then he would just switch the timers, and like it would read like 9 minutes, 10 minutes, and the server would just be stumped. Like that worked all year. Yeah.
Yeah. What's awesome is that George is now in law enforcement.
Hey, well, he knows the tricks apparently.
Little side note, I'm not one to do sponsor placement, but we appear on the Crier Network. Crier is powered by our friends at Envision. Envision is actually in the middle of doing our new website, and I'm enjoying a what's called a Saki Bomb. They sent out this lovely gift pack, just thanking me for being a client for a year. So thanks, Envision. Really appreciate it. It's actually quite tasty. You're drinking another one of their...
I've got the Sick Lager.
Sick?
I think so. SYC. Yeah. I think it's out of Calgary though, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I think it is.
I can't read without my glasses, so
it's really good.
This has got a bunch of Asian lettering on it, so it's like some kind of, I don't know what that is. I can't read. It's quite tasty though. So that was like, I mean, it always seemed that as kids we were running scams, some kind of scam, like figure out an angle and exploit it.
I think all kids do that, and exploit's a pretty strong word. It's got a bit of pizza
for like a year.
Again, a bit of pizza.
What word would you use instead of exploit?
I don't know. I'll have to think on that one. I don't know. Just leverage. We leveraged the fact that
I like exploit.
Clocks fell into George's pocket or whatever.
But even without that, I went there, I mean, 20 times without Georgie, and I was able to, like, they were never able, like, if you went there at noon, there was no way they were going to be able to keep up. Or more than anything, I think we figured out that you had to get there at about quarter after, so that all the first people got in there, placed their orders, and then ran the
strategy.
Well, exploit. Now we grew up on the same street, Meridian Heights, 44th Ave. Now you guys were right on the corner, so you maybe had the street address instead of the avenue address.
We're 45th Ave. Is 45, 34, 45th Ave.
45, 45?
45, 34.
Yeah.
45th Ave. So
So
45th Street,
45th
45th
and
Ave.
okay.
Yep.
Maybe we're on 45th Avenue. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Probably, yeah.
That was a long time ago. I didn't live there very long, but and didn't really move that far. But um, I was thinking back, the neighborhood we lived in, so our little Meridian Heights suburb, had a really interesting. I mean, it seemed very normal at the time, but there was a big cul-de-sac in the middle of the neighborhood. How many different things do you think we did in that cul-de-sac?
Oh yeah, Jesus. Like, yeah, from hitting baseballs and banging windows with them to road hockey and I don't know. There's a lot. There was a lot of stuff in there.
I've got kick the can.
Yep.
I've got baseball, and then I've got a subheading of drunken parents who were coaches,
Yeah.
which was an interesting um, thing. But I mean, you lived there for a long time, and you went back for a long time because your parents stayed in there. I've only gone back there a handful of times. I swear to God, I thought that cul-de-sac was Yankee Stadium. Like, I thought that thing was as big as Telus Field, and it's like I don't have a golf club in my bag that if I hit anything more than a little chip shot, I wouldn't overextend. But somehow we managed to, that was our main playground for, geez, like our formative years.
Yeah, yeah, and it's different than what they have now in the subdivisions, right? Like they have crescents and cul-de-sacs, but this one had that massive patch of grass and trees in the middle of it,
Yeah.
so you could use that and not be on the road.
And for whatever reason, when we all started growing up, there were 10 families with similar age kids. Like within just down, I'm trying to do the math. I've told I'm going to deviate a little bit because excuse me. I keep telling the story for some reason about Litzenbergers that live next door to you guys. And they every year they had this great garden. And I'm convinced that they grew that garden to screw with us.
Well, maybe, but I mean, you get some product out of there.
Well, but I think they figured out that if they grew the garden, we would naturally break into their yard and we'd steal their carrots and their peas and all the rest. So as kids, we're like having this, like we're basically making ourselves a salad, and they're looking at us like, "Ah, you little jerks, we figured out how to get you to eat vegetables
Yeah.
is by growing them." Like instead, so you guys aren't going to go eat candy. You come over, like, because they never said anything to us.
No, that's true. And there was the one up the street right across the road from the Fance house, and they didn't have a fence on that one. Right
Oh,
on the corner.
right.
And someone kicked the can, like that was just like stop in, grab a couple
Have a
pieces,
snack.
yeah, and keep going, right? Like, yeah, that one was easy pickings too.
Well, there was also a bunch of raspberry bushes.
At that one?
Not there,
Oh,
but
okay.
like in the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we
Yeah,
could
yeah.
like we could always fetch a snack from somewhere.
Pretty easy to do.
I love it. I mean, there's stories that I don't know the kids have today.
Oh no, no, I don't think they're out there garden raiding and throwing crab apples at cars and doing stuff, like at other people.
You did that?
Yeah, I saw it happen.
Heavens.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Saw it happen.
I probably tried to, but I had a lousy arm.
Yeah, right.
Which at some point we're going to have to get into this is going to be a story about me, but you'll have to tell it about when we got introduced to the RCMP during a session in your car of Public Enemy.
Oh geez, yeah, I don't remember. I didn't remember the tune playing, whatever. But yeah, you were driving along, and for whatever reason, you flipped them off.
I didn't. I was just enjoying the song. And he happened, the short version is that when he pulled us over, I think the cop said, "Is your buddy an asshole?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, he's actually a good guy. And that, like, he never even talked to me. He
No,
just talked to you.
I
And
thought he was gonna whoop your ass though. Like I thought it was like old style. Like
somehow you managed to talk the cop out of doing anything. And you came back, you're like, "You're a fucking idiot." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I just had to lie through my teeth." I'm like, "What do you mean? I didn't flip the cop off." And maybe it was, maybe I did. I don't know.
he seemed to think so. I never saw it. I was focused on the road, man.
But that was my time when I was doing like finger calisthenics. So
Yes.
maybe he saw something. I didn't intend it, but now I can tell jokes, and we can talk about, nonsense pretty much
For a
ad
long time.
nauseum.
Yep.
You have really risen through the education system. You're trained as a teacher. Is that the way to
Yeah. Yeah.
you're a
Yeah.
teacher?
Yep. Teacher.
Trained. But from pretty early on, you had kind of an eye for administration. Like you wanted to work your way up. You either eventually became, a vice or a principal, or you would work with, the county or whatever in a, more of an administrative capacity. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I don't know. You're right. I did a bunch of different things. Ended up in administration for sure. Um, Worked, yeah, in our division as a facilitator and stuff, and worked at Alberta Education. I think it just from trying different things, right? You're in a career and in a profession, and when it offers you the opportunity to branch out and do different things than what you might have started at the beginning with. Yeah, for me that was it. I don't really have a good answer to it. Just wanted to try different stuff, and still got another 10 years or whatever. Want to keep trying different things, keeping things fresh.
Is the classroom that bad that you wanted to stay away from it?
Not at all. I was and what day is today? Today's Thursday. Today's Thursday.
Thursday.
I was at Blueberry School in a grade 7 class teaching math just the other day. It's hilarious. These kids, the shit they say and that they do, it's pretty funny.
You still get, like, you went in as like a sub?
I went in and taught. I go in and model lessons sometimes for teachers, and so I went in and
You went in as a math teacher?
Yeah.
The hell do you know about math?
Oh, I'm figuring it out along the way.
Well, grade 7 math.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Grade 7 math.
Blueberry, that's actually a fun story because that's where you were principal.
I was a principal there for a while. Yeah.
And we did when the first year that Alex and I had the race team.
Yeah. You brought the car
We
out.
The promoter, sorry, what do we call them? The PR company that worked with EpiPen. They wanted to do 3 school visits in the Edmonton area, and they picked like this school, that school. I'm like, hold on a second. Why don't we get out to one of the rural schools? Well, we don't know any. I'm like, I just happen to know someone. And we were able to line that up and get Alex out to Blueberry and have the race car, the 2-seater car,
Yep.
on display. And yeah,
kids loved that. And I remember this one kid, we could hardly get out of it. And yeah, that stayed in their community for quite a while. They were pretty impressed with that.
I still drive past Blueberry when I come back from the go-kart track. So every time I drive past there, I look over, I'm like, yeah, I've had the race car there.
That's right. Yeah.
Right there. That was kind of cool.
And they appreciated that community, right? Like they don't get cool things like that happening out there.
Yeah. It's not that people don't think of it. It's just, they don't think of it. Like I would always rather go out to like Aceba Beach, to Muir Lake, to, even to a lesser extent, like, our old schools, Meridian Heights or Stony Junior High, when it was actually a thing.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, you've got to obviously spend some time in the city, but yeah, that was always fun. And you've never actually taken me up on the offer. I'm not putting you on the spot, but I've done quite well over the years where we bring the race car, bring it to the school, talk about, especially I think it's grade 8 science really focuses on hydraulics, pneumatics, aerodynamics, friction,
mechanical systems.
So all the things we do within Cantork, all the things we do within racing, and hopefully, I mean, obviously you don't have a school under your purview anymore, but somewhere along the way, because I've done it with Amanda, I've done it with Julie. We need to do some home-based content.
Yeah, we'll have to make it happen one of these times.
So now I kind of cut you off, as we kind of tend to do from time to time, but what is your role now? You said you were doing a fill-in thing, but that's not really what you do.
Yeah, no. Well, it's part of what I do. So my role right now, I'm what they call a division principal. So with that role, I support all of our principals in different areas. Attendance is in my portfolio, and things like numeracy, CTF courses, CTS, just anything that kind of comes along the way. There's 2 of us division principals, and it gets filtered to one of us, and we support the administrators in that regard.
I have no idea what CTF or CTL is.
Well, CTF would fit right in what you're talking about, career and technology foundations. So all those courses in the high school that would fit right in with what you're talking about. And then CT CTF is kind of the same version, Career and Technology Foundations, in the junior high, middle school options, we'd call it when our day. But same thing, right? Just kind of the preparing for the world of work and giving kids, more unique and engaging classes than what the standard curriculum would be, right?
And how long? This is your second year, first year?
Yeah, it's my second year in this role.
Okay. Before that, you were.
Before that, I was principal at Meridian, at a Cole Meridian.
Oh, right. I forgot about your stint there. So that's our elementary school.
That's our elementary. That was
Except now it's an elementary junior high.
K-9.
See, that's where we should have done the race car.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, it was COVID for the most of the time when I was there.
Car doesn't care.
Yeah, true.
I could put on a helmet, like it's fine. You can see I've got helmets everywhere here.
I noticed.
But opportunity lost. But hopefully we can do something. I mean, go back to Meridian would be pretty cool, because I literally, and I don't use the word literally. I use literally figuratively, but literally, I have not been in Meridian in 25 years.
Yeah, it's massively different than what we went through. They have a basement, like a walkout basement, that big hill, when you rode the
one we just about killed your brother on.
Yeah. When it was still a hill, right? Riding the gliders or riding the GT snow racer through the big tractor tire, and you miss and you just about decapitate yourself. And yeah, that hill's gone now.
Yeah,
safety or something like that. But yeah, it's gone, and they actually built classrooms right into that. And
they kept adding portables.
Yeah, portables.
But when you build a portable, but you connect it, is it still a portable?
Still a portable.
Really?
Yeah. Still portable. Really? They take them off sometimes and move them to a different building. And
do they really?
Yeah.
Holy, but they're connected.
They're connected with what they call a link. They just build a little hallway to connect the portable to the main building, but it's still a portable. And then when they yard them off, they just take the link out, put up the wall back up, and away you go.
Man, technology's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Well, we saw you personally, like Mandy and I, that was probably like 2 years, maybe even 3 years ago. Just so you know, I put those regs. There's like regs there. So when you set your can down, we don't hear it on the thing. Those are like, they're buffer cans. So like when I put my can down, I have my mat here, and that's what those are for.
Got it.
That's science.
Impressive.
Yes. I walked through the playground at Meridian. We didn't know we were going to end up on your side of town, because that's a fair clip. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't, like, the first thing that we talked about was where your brother just about decapitated himself on a GT snow racer going down this hill that was like pure ice. He wasn't 8 years old. No. So it was a lot of machine for a little kid, and literally got to there was a structure that was these tractor tires. So two were like 80% buried, so you could just have the tread, and one was like 30% buried. And it was always a game for us to shoot through. And we knew when we got there to duck, and he didn't, and like caught himself right at the forehead, and like ass over tea kettle. It was one of those moments. I won't forget it. I don't think about it very often, but it was one of those moments where we were kind of watching what happened. Then we see what happens. Is like, oh shit. And then he gets up, and it's one of these things where his mouth is open and there's no sound, and there's no sound, and there's no sound, and there's no sound. And then all of a sudden it was like all hell breaking loose. I know exactly what he said, and I won't repeat it because we're not allowed to say that we can say fuck right now. Like that's not a problem, but that he used an expression that we can't use anymore. And yeah, we weren't allowed to go there for a long time. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, he had like a red spot on his forehead after that for an awful long time.
Almost like a tread from the tire, probably, right? Like that's the old Tommy boy. That's going to leave a mark, right?
He said Michelin and people thought he was sponsored. And that's really what led me down the road to race cars.
Here we are now.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a journey.
But anyway, so you were the principal at Meridian. Now, that was our school. Now, when we this is actually one of my little talking points that I've got on my little cheat sheet that you can't see. But once we had a particular principal, and he was a legendary principal that came with a lot of good and came with some negative. And I'm not going to besmirch the man. Like, everyone's got good and bad. I'm not saying he's like a criminal or anything like that. One of the things you aspired to at Meridian Heights was athletic excellence. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, at that time that's a big deal. Yeah.
So we would run around the school, like we would do laps around the outside. When it got cold, we would run around the inside doing journal games practice and all this stuff. But there was an activity that we had after school. What was it?
Floor hockey. Good old
Bingo.
floor hockey. Yeah.
Do you remember how old you had to be before you could start playing floor hockey?
I feel like you were supposed to be in junior high, but maybe, or no, we only went to grade 7, so maybe grade 5-ish.
It was
Like
grade 4.
grade 4. Okay. Yeah.
And that was what, like, so there was like, I think there was like a noontime floor hockey for like grade 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And then there was one that the big kids at grade 7 got to do, maybe grade 6, with the teachers
after school on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
remember Doug taking you out.
Well, it was Mr. Murray.
Oh, I thought it was Minkler that was hacking the hell out of you.
He maybe was, but Raj he was pretty aggressive too. Like, these guys, these were men. We felt like we were men. We were in grade 7. We were like, I don't know, how old are you in grade 7? 12? Mm-hmm. And we're fighting with these big men, and I kept getting slashed. And maybe you're right.
That was Minkler that was hacking the hell out of your shins.
Yeah. And at one point I turned to him, I'm like, would you fuck off? And it was pretty quick that I was asked to leave, and I wasn't allowed to return anymore.
Yeah, that was the end of your floor hockey career.
I mean, people think I'm kidding when I say, like, I could have made it to the bigs if
of floor hockey.
Well, no, I was going to transition. Like, I was going to learn to skate any day.
Yeah.
After that, I was actually a good skater. I was not like, I could skate.
You can, yeah.
I like not really so much anymore because my feet hurt when I try and get on the ice. I mean, well, we got out last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Quickly, but yeah, that was well, you were also there for one of my favorite stories. I don't have a lot of parental stories that I ever tell, but when we played baseball, and I don't know if you remember it to the detail that I do, but my father, like your dad, was a coach. We had another dude's dad was a coach, Raji boy. And let's not kid ourselves that they enjoyed a beverage on occasion.
Pre and post game.
And I'm not convinced that they didn't drink during the game. I don't know. I'm not saying yes, but it wouldn't have surprised me. But my father decided to be an umpire.
Yes.
And I'll never forget. And I'm only, again, this shouldn't be about me, but this is just one of those stories kind of leading to, like, from the floor hockey thing. I remember we were playing Bantam. I can't remember the name of our team, but I can remember we had black and yellow uniforms. I can remember almost everyone on the team. I was a terrible baseball player. I couldn't catch. I think I probably pissed my pants in the field like 10 times. I had no idea. I was like a right fielder. Like, I was the worst player, and I couldn't hit. Like, that summed up my career. But I remember like one of my last baseball games ever, my father's calling the game, and he called me like way tougher than anyone else. There was no courtesy. Yeah. There was no anything. Pitch comes in, strike 1. I'm like, and I look back. There's no way that was a strike. Come up, fucking same thing. Strike 2. And I look back at him. I'm like, motherfucker. The next pitch is so bad. There's no way that I can take a cut at it. Pop. Strike 3. I'm like, fuck you. He's like, you're out of the game. I'm like, all right, I'll see you at home. And I literally walked out, and I walked my ass home in my baseball uniform from the other side of the town.
Yeah, those are the times of small towns, right?
That was, honestly, it was one of my prouder moments. I always enjoyed that. Now we come from a small town, come from Stony Plain. Who are the local characters, good, bad, or indifferent, that you remember from our time growing up?
Well, not in our crew, obviously, but like this Dougie Hinkle, right? He was floating around and doing his thing.
So Dougie was known for a couple of things.
Well, I mean, he would ride around. He had some disabilities. He'd ride around collecting bottles and doing that kind of stuff. And as dumb kids, we didn't understand that well enough, so we would needle him sometimes, like a bunch of jerks, you know. And yeah,
But Dougie was also a big drinker.
well,
So
yeah,
he
he
would
had to
he
get
would
empty somehow.
he would he would collect bottles, and he would, you know, buy beer. And Dougie had this really, really gravelly
Oh yeah,
voice.
yeah.
But I swear to God, he was part ninja. No, like I remember I worked for our friend's family's business, the Selmac Sales, and Dougie's sole source of income was collecting empties. So he would spend all day looking for the empties, and he would ride around on this rickety bike, but he had a really gravelly voice.
That's pretty good, actually.
And I always had a bit of a soft spot. I can't say that I wasn't ever a jerk to him. I don't remember being a jerk. I just can't say for sure, because I was a jerk to a lot of people. But I would talk to him, and I'd see him around, and he was one of those guys that everybody was scared of him, because he got tormented so much that anytime somebody would talk to him, it was like they were coming after him. So I would, I'd always have a little chat with him, and eventually, he would talk to me. But he had this knack. I remember working at Selmac. We had a coffee break at like 10 o'clock. My coffee was Pepsi. I would crack a Pepsi. I'd drink a Pepsi. I'd put the empty in my locker.
Yeah.
I went into the shop for something. I'm like, oh, I forgot something. I came back and it's gone. And I look outside and there's Dougie running. I'm like,
yeah.
What the hell? Like, how? Like, and at that point, you can't be mad. Like, I mean, it was 5 cents or 10 cents or whatever it was, but it's like, okay, this guy's
efficient.
This guy's pretty awesome. Yeah. Okay, who else can you name? I've got a list, so I'll remind you. But
I mean, like there's like the older people, like there's Derek Fayant that we play kick the can with, right? The kids are a little older
but
than us.
He was like an adult compared to us.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm thinking like, not from the neighborhood, but I always joke, I laugh actually about Ashley Gordy. You remember him at the high school?
And well, he's got one of the best lines.
I'm too fucking cool for math.
That's true.
Yeah, and actually got to see him as a parent. His kid went to Meridian when I was there.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I never told him about that line, because I think that was just a routine thing for him. It stuck with us. But
so to tell that story though, Ashley and I were in the same math class, and we were both skipping math. And I think you had a spare or something, because you never really skipped school.
No, not much. Yeah,
I never really went, but you and I were hanging out doing something. And I see Ashley, like, because I know I'm supposed to be in math, and that's where it came. Like, hey, aren't you supposed to be in math class? And like, without hesitation.
Oh yeah, and just the way he said it too, eh? Like,
yeah.
I'm too fucking cool for math.
Yeah, it's like he was on The Sopranos or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So okay, Ashley. Who else comes to mind?
Oh geez, like from the neighborhood or
no, and like Stony Plain legends at the time. I've got a few
Stony Plain legends. Well, I don't know. I mean, you talked about our principal there. He was a legend for sure. I don't know. It seems to just be so long ago. Like, what are you thinking?
So I'll give you one. Bylaw Buck.
Oh, Bylaw Buck. Yeah. Buck Coots. Yeah. Driving around in the minivan, the cop minivan. Yeah. He definitely, built himself a reputation just in front of the high school, getting people for stunting, right? Like, yeah, no question. And he's still around. Hey, he's still around.
Is he really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You still see him around town. I'm pretty sure, like with maybe a week and a half ago, when I was coming out of the grocery store, I was at Friesen there. He and his wife were there in the uni, because he's obviously a veteran of some sort, and he was doing the poppy thing. And I walked by, like you always do, and then I did a double take and realized it was him. Bought a poppy. He talked it up a bit, like totally different relationship as adults than when he was, what now we'd call a peace officer, right? But but at that time we could Bylaw Buck, because he's bylaw enforcement, right? In a minivan with cop lights on the top. Like, are you kidding me?
But that was it. And because the RCMP didn't really do a lot. Like, I mean, they pulled me over once for flipping them off, but
pulled me over for you flipping them off.
Semantics. Semantics, like whatever. I'm surprised we never got pulled over for like frosted over windshields.
Yeah, we had some trouble with the vet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you were like, I mean, you were lucky because you had a vet when we were a kid.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I mean, we think these kids now are spoiled with the fancy cars they drive to the high school, which they are, and but no, we had a vet. I think it was a 76 Chevette.
70,
Uh,
75 first.
okay, I
The
thought
black
yeah,
vet was
black vet, yeah.
75.
Yeah, yeah, ran most of the time. Defrost was sketchy, like even no matter how long you ran it. So yeah, well, we had bank cards to scrape the windshield with.
Yeah, we had
So
social insurance cards
yeah,
and yeah.
yeah, made it work. Got to school, fog up halfway there. You'd be reaching out of the open window, middle of winter, scraping the scraping the windshield while we're driving, so we
It's
could
what a
get
good
there.
navigator does.
That's right. That's right. It worked.
Going to which people maybe think is a joke, but going to high school at 7 o'clock in the morning because we did a class before school.
Yeah, we were in the legit jazz band. Like was legitimately a thing.
Yep.
It existed. Yeah.
We were good.
Oh well, I don't know about that, but we were in the jazz band.
First school from Parkland County to ever receive a ranking of superior at the Red Deer Music Festival. We toured across Canada. We made it to Disneyland. We were good.
We did some stuff. It was fun.
Played Farmers Days.
Yeah. If you're on a float, I mean, what but can't get better than that at Farmers Days.
Hey, they
like,
don't just let anyone get on a float.
No,
There's like a whole qualification. We had to go to like
float school.
Well, and there were like a series of days that like preceded Farmers Days. Like we went to like neighborhood days, and then we had to go to like, block parent days, and then eventually we made it to the top
Big
of
time.
That was a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. 50 people watching, lining the streets.
We had big crowds.
Yeah.
Now we didn't. We were like the last float, and like people were cleaning up and sweeping. But playing on a float is not easy.
No,
on a moving vehicle.
Yeah, there's some challenges for sure. And you probably haven't been out, for a long time, but the parade now is crazy. Like it's massively long.
Like there's shootings and shit, or
no, it's just like a
it's
huge.
Not that crazy.
No, it's just a huge parade. Like thousands of people on the streets. It's quite an event in the town now. Like
because they think we're gonna be there on the float, or like
I'm not sure that's exactly why, but
our people must still want to see us.
Well, I don't even know if our people are around anymore.
That's true. So we got Bylaw Buck. Now the other one, I'm just gonna say a name, but you have to tell the story.
Right.
And I know you'll be able to tell the story. But and I couldn't think of his last name until just this moment. Arthur Allen.
Oh my God. Art is still around.
Is he really?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
Well, no, you're gonna tell me the story of how he like cleaned up his act, he shaved his beard,
No,
and now he's like a youth minister or something.
None of that happened. No. So Arthur Allen, yeah. I mean, and his brother Kirk, you remember Kirk?
Mhm.
So Arthur was the older one, right? By a year or two.
Was he?
Yeah. But Kirk was just 7 feet tall from like grade 5 on.
But Art was the big one.
Art was like pretty wide and full beard. But
at what age?
Like maybe. Well, it was in before grade 7, right? So at Meridian. So like, 11 or 12 years old, full beard. And he would bootleg for high school kids that couldn't get booze. I mean, that just means going to the old bar and getting the 4-liter milk jug of draft. But yeah, he had a full beard.
He was well younger than us. Like, I mean, he's probably like 6-8 years younger than us.
Yeah.
But he was getting into the bar and he was drinking with our parents before we could get into the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, so to this day, I see him around. He's still in town. He was driving cab for quite a few years around Stony Spruce. And he's doing pizza or something. He's working locally. He works for the, businesses around, doing good. And but same guy, like you could see him now. You would pick him out in a second. Looks exactly the same. Still the full beard, still the same dude. And he'll remember you. He introduced himself to me several years ago when I first saw him again. Like
you're memorable. I'm kind of forgettable.
Right. No, he and his brother Kirk was, like I say, Kirk was like freaking. He was a monster. Like he was easily 6 feet tall in elementary school.
See, I don't. I can see his face, but I don't remember him proportionally. Like
massively tall. Yeah.
Yeah. But that made like I don't have this written down, but now you're talking about these guys that just got massive. I'm thinking of like Kyle and Kevin Embry.
Yeah.
because those guys, like, they got like jacked, ripped. I don't know if they were doing steroids. I don't know what the hell the story was, but those guys became like bodybuilder
Yeah.
massive
Yeah.
when we were in junior high.
Yeah, they were big dudes. And Kyle, you probably know better than I, but he was around maybe, when I worked at Woodhaven, he was around. He he did a bunch of different stuff business wise, I think, but he opened one of those Halloween stores in the community.
Yeah.
And he bought a car like the DeLorean. And it was interesting because I didn't know this at the time, but I was the principal at Woodhaven, and this DeLorean car went across the street to Brookwood and was driving through the parking lot. Everybody thought it was pretty cool, started throwing candy out. It's really neat. And then came across the road to Woodhaven, where I was principal. Same deal, weaving through the parking lot, talking to kids, window down, throwing candy. And some people were off put by that because, it's a little strange
Well,
in
it's
school.
not like it was a minivan or
And
a big cube van, but yeah.
And handing out cards and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, Jesus, so I get the card and I phone this place. I'm like, I know you're like promoting your business, Halloween, whatever. And I introduced myself, and he's like, what did you say your name was? And my name is Shaye Patras, and I'm the principal. I'm Kyle. I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
No, Kyle Embry. I'm like, oh my God. Like, dude, you can't freaking come to a school and give candy out and roll your window down and start talking to kids as a stranger. That's not, that's how you get arrested,
Yeah.
man. Like,
that was wrong when we were kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we lost Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was around a few years ago, but I don't know if he's still kicking around or not. I haven't seen him.
Yeah. I actually went into that store, and his little brother Colin was running it.
Okay.
And I stayed in touch with them for some time. I would see, like, Kyle is smart. Like,
Oh yeah.
Like, I knew he was clever when we were kids, but like he went through he got a degree, like he got a BCom.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's a super sharp dude.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen him though in forever, but he was like a vice president of purchasing for San Francisco.
Yes, that's right.
When that was a thing. And
Yeah.
most people don't know that that's a thing anymore. And then, yeah, he's always been looking for like a little angle and a little something, because like that's how I got my first set of golf clubs, was because of Kyle.
Oh, really?
He was the one that showed me how we could get on the golf course. We could fish through the pond and get the golf balls, and we'd sell them back to the golfers. And I mean, I don't want to think how much money we made. Like, we made a lot of money. I saved it for one weekend and bought my first set of golf clubs. We pissed it away on video games. Like, we'd go to Safeway. Like, we were the guy, like, we would end up with like $50 in our pocket at the end of the day. Like, $50 when you're like 12 years old in 1987, pretty good scratch.
Absolutely.
And we would be able to buy the candy we wanted. We'd be able to buy all this, like, oh yeah. So again, it was just one weekend that I saved my money, and I managed to get, like, if I would have saved the money that we were buying or that we were making, like, man, I probably would have had $1,000 by the end of the summer but yeah, I had no wherewithal.
Kid.
Yeah. I could actually, I mean, that actually might not be a bad part-time thing. Like, I'm actually a trained scuba diver now. I should be the guy that goes to like my golf course, like at Blackhawk, and I should be the guy that does that. Like, there's good money in that.
Nobody wants waterlogged balls anymore, though, do they?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Maybe not at Blackhawk, but you take there's a guy. There's actually someone I used to deal with, our currency exchange person within the business. Her husband was a guy. He would go out to he would focus on the private courses, get rid of all the golf balls there so that you don't really see him on the edge. He would dive down and do all that, and like made mega dollars, like did great. Plus he got scuba dive hours.
Huh. Win-win.
Not so bad. Not so bad at all. I'm going to skip the last thing that I had here, but the other thing that I've got, and you're more than welcome to to tell any stories that you got or whatever, but we got to talk about skateboarding.
Oh geez, yeah.
We have to talk about skateboarding because, I mean, obviously in the 90s, that was, late 80s, 90s, that was it. Like, we watched skateboard movies.
Yep. Tony Hawk, right? That was a big thing.
It still is. He's like one of the most popular people on the planet to this day. Like, seriously, yeah. I follow him on a bunch of the social media sites, and like, someone will come up to him like, "Hey, you look just like Tony Hawk." He's like, "Yeah, I get that a lot." Like, "Hey, can you do a trick for me?" He's like, "No, I don't really want to." Like, and he'll, he engages people all the time because I don't know if he thinks it's cool. Have you seen the documentary that's come out on him?
No.
You gotta find it. I can't remember. It's called like Tony Hawk 720 or something like that. About how he, I can't remember if it was about how he landed the 720 or the 900, like, and how many times he slammed and how many bones he broke, and like it took him like 8 years to land the first. I think it was a 900. Like, amazing story.
Huh. It may be on the Fire Stick. We'll find it. Everything's on the Fire Stick.
I don't know what that is. No, I actually
really
I don't know what that is. No.
Well, it's
It's an illegal thing.
Semi-legit way of.
Is it illegal? Well, it's discouraged.
Depends on who you speak to about it.
Okay. I honestly, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't have TV anymore. I just have like my streaming services. I watch the same. I want to say I have 3 series I watch. I have about 10 series and I just watch them over and over and over again.
So what's one of the best ones
For what?
that you watch? Like if you go home tonight and you're picking one of the 10, what would it be?
Tonight I'll be watching Breaking Bad.
Yes.
Because I'm just about over. So then I got to figure out what the next one I'm going to go back to is.
You watch Sons of Anarchy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like people say Breaking Bad was the best one ever. I don't know. SOA. That might have been my favorite series of all time.
Really?
Breaking Bad
Why?
was excellent. Oh, just like it had everything. Like, I mean, yeah, there's lots of violence and stuff, but I don't know.
Not as much as Breaking Bad.
You don't think so? I think there was
Not
more
really.
more violence, more like Opie getting beat down in that prison cell. Pretty
Ooh.
graphic, right? Like
that was a bad one.
In your face violence, right? Like sickening violence. Like,
yeah, but Gail Bedecker getting shot in the face.
Yeah. No,
that
Breaking Bad had its.
See, the Gail Bedecker thing, because I also watch Suits. So
Okay.
the character, the actor that plays Gail Bedecker is a super badass lawyer in another, like not a great lawyer, like an asshole lawyer in Suits.
Yeah. I haven't watched that series, but I know a lot of
Daniel Hardman. Okay. You should watch that.
Maybe.
Shot in Toronto.
Oh, I guess so.
Canadian actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's you'll like it.
Suits. I know my wife's watched it. She watches a ton of that stuff, and I don't watch a lot of sitcom or not even that, just series and whatever. Mostly just some sporting events and.
See, and I don't watch the sports.
Huh?
I watch racing.
That's a sport. You know that.
Wow, no, the car does all the work.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it does.
Oh yeah, there's no G forces you say on the corners, and just get back there, put a dart in, and just roll around the course, eh?
You don't know my friend Tim, but you just described my friend Tim. Tim, that's how he races. No, like he's awesome. Like he's like mechanically, he's a fucking wackadoo. Like he's super smart, but like his cart is actually sitting right in my shop. And if I showed you the cart, less what I've stolen off of his cart with his permission, his cart is like, well, it's 3 years old now, but it's only raced 1 season. You would think it's 10 years old. It's like, it's held together with like baler wire, duct tape, bubble gum. It's got like a little bit of everything. But when he needs to fix something, he like, first of all, he knows how to, like, he knows what's wrong. He can like grab it really quick. He knows how to fix it. Like we bring him in here all the time. He fixes pumps for us. He fixes tools for us. Like, but then he finishes a heat. He can like, he's hacking darts. He's drinking a coffee. He'll like shotgun a Monster or Red Bull or whatever it is. Then he goes out, races, drives from like 10th to 4th, comes back out smoking. Like, I come out of the cart and I'm like, because I'm not really good at letting the cart do all the work. I try and do something. He gets out of the cart, like, he doesn't really care. He'll come over. He's like smoke hanging out of his mouth, like
ash just.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. No, he's an interesting guy. The only and again, you have carte blanche, whatever story you want to tell, whatever, bus you want to chuck. Like the one thing I have to get out because my head's going to explode. You come from a family, 5 children, all of the kids first name begins with SHA.
Yep.
and 3 of the kids have Shaye as the root of their name. Now you're just plain old Shaye.
Yep.
You've got a Shaylin
Yep.
and you got a Seamus.
Yep. And Shandy and Sean.
All SHAs.
Yep. Not sure what the heck mom and dad were thinking there. They don't know either. They just thought it was a thing, I guess. And I mean, I can see that from my dad, but from my mom, like she's a little more logical, a little, yeah. I don't know how that came about, but
And like, because for a long time you guys were called the Shushes, but you shouldn't. You were the Shaws, like Shaw, dude.
makes more sense.
Shaw,
I
dude.
told the story when I was at Meridian, went back there as principal, and talked to the teachers, whatever, and how they learned that I attended there. Oh yeah, yeah, I had good times, and the principal we talked about, and I talked about what's now the small gym, and I said, yeah, I did like grade 1, 2 here.
Hold on. There's 2 gyms at Meridian.
Well, you remember the grade 1, 2 Miss Doig and Miss Kennedy's class? That big.
Yeah.
That's
Were you in that class?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little gym now for the little kids.
Okay.
And so I tell the story, and I only know the story because my dad told me the story, but I went to school grade 1, it would have been.
Yeah.
And I stroll in like you do when you're in grade 1, you own the joint, you chuck your bag down. And so I'm walking in, and Mrs. Kennedy says to me, hey, how's it going? I'm good. What's new? Nothing. It's my birthday. My mom had a baby. Keep walking, sit down on the seat, peel off the coat and the toque or whatever. And she comes over and so what did you tell me? What's going on? Nothing. It's my birthday. Mom had a baby. She's like, what do you, that's not right. What do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I mean? That's what I mean. And so, well, you can't tell lies. Like you go over, stand over there for a little while and wait, and you come back and when you're ready, you come back and you tell me. And so apparently I went to stand in the corner, and I stood in the corner, and I do know actually which corner. And when I went back there, and I stood in the corner, and I guess I don't know. Of course, you're in grade 1, but I imagine I was thinking, well, this is what a birthday is like in school. It's not as exciting, or it's not cracking up to what you think it would be, but maybe it's school. You're supposed to think about
school birthday. It's not a home birthday.
Think about life and shit or whatever. And so apparently, I stood in the corner the whole day, and then I went home, and
the whole day,
AM to PM.
Oh, Miss Kennedy was nasty.
Tough. Well, I thought Doig was the tough one, but Kennedy had me in the corner.
They were both. They were not exactly yielding.
They were the lovey-dovey kind of teachers.
It wasn't a cuddle classroom.
No. So apparently I went home and didn't say nothing. Like I had no problem. And I didn't even mention it to my dad apparently, but she phoned home to talk about how I'd been lying and explained what happened. And my dad's like, no, that's actually what happened. It's his birthday and we had a kid. And she felt so bad that we got cupcakes for the whole class the next day. Like,
is that where they came from?
Yeah. She totally redeemed herself. Totally redeemed herself.
The only time I ever had to write something on the board, like, because
lines.
I don't know how this could possibly be. It would have been Mrs. Doig, because I think we were in the same class, because Miss Kennedy was grade 1.
Yep.
And then Mrs. Doig was grade 2.
Yep. Makes sense.
And in grade 2, I had to write the word because. And I think I wrote it like I had spelled it in my journal or whatever the hell, Beacause. And because I had misspelled the word, I had to write it like 50 times on a chalkboard. Writing anything on a chalkboard sucked. Like there's no amount. Like nowadays, you guys have these like digital
whiteboards and
fucking whatever the hell. Like we used to have overhead projectors. So like there were these like plastic things, but then you'd slide them in and we had chalkboards. I volunteered as the idiot that would clean the chalk brushes because I'd have to go to Mr. Mankler that like would slash me and I'd have to go into it. Like, do you remember the caretaker's room?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. It's still the same.
It must have added some light since we were kids.
Well, maybe in the main part, but when you got to go in like the boiler room area, because that's a door in there. Yeah. Sketchy. Even as an adult.
It was so scary. And I'd have to take like, there were the main chalk brushes that had like the wooden back with the the felt on them, and then there was like the big one, like it was like all kind of foam, and you have to run it on this thing that like beat all the chalk out of the. It was a scary existence.
And you volunteered for that job.
I thought it was cool. They don't smoke in the staff room anymore, do they?
No smoking in the staff room anymore. No. I heard too, after I got to Woodhaven, that not long before, but maybe, several 5 to 7 years before, they had a pop machine in there that popped beers out after schools they'd crush beer and wine. And so that's probably 20 years ago, right? Maybe, yeah, probably about 20 years ago. But like, yeah, I think that kind of stuff in the past was just, it happened, I guess. Not so much anymore.
I remember, I mean, obviously as a kid, I never got into the staff room, but I remember for some reason I had to like get a teacher or talk to a teacher. And I remember the smell when they opened that door, like from the main hallway,
Wafting
not
out.
from the office.
Yeah.
And it like punched me in the face for how much smoke was going on there. Like
Yeah.
that was crazy. You have to tell one more story at least.
Yeah.
And we'll see if this turns into something else. What is Meat Club?
Oh God. Yeah. Meat Club.
So I got to preface, like you and I have a bit of a jokey, pranky,
Yeah.
one-upsman thing going on, but obviously we become adults. We have, we run in different circles for a lot of it, but the jokiness has never really gone away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Meat Club was not necessarily your
No,
invention,
not at all.
but it's one of the greatest stories I've ever heard.
Yeah. Like I am just like proud to have been able to observe it. We had a teacher in our school who, big football guy, like, and he decided that he was going to create Meat Club because we had another teacher in our school, Kevin Winkle. And I mean, like, the name totally suits him. Like, it's a bizarre name. Awesome, awesome dude. Like 6'3", and like I'm serious when I say like 150 pounds. Like a very slight man. And he would crush food. He loved food, crushed everything. And so Paul, who decided to invent Meat Club, noticed this about Kevin. So he throws an email out to the staff at Woodhaven. And again, this was an amazing staff, such a good group of people. And so he throws an email out and he's like, hey, everybody, I feel like we should have a new club this year. I'm going to start Meat Club. Basically what it is once every couple of weeks, we're going to meet and eat it. That's what's going to happen.
We're going to solicit donations
Oh,
from
yeah.
local businesses.
Yeah. That came along a little later, but we're going to get meat in the school and we're just going to eat it. And that's going to be our club. And so, that came out.
Which is such a great pretense. Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah. And then like 12 seconds later, another email comes out. Okay, Meat Club's full. And like we're like, what the hell is going on? And so like most of us are like, well, that's fucking weird, but whatever. But Kevin sends an email out like, what? How is it full? How, like, it's too fast. How could that possibly happen? And Paul sends out an email to everybody. He's a reply alls, right? And sends out an email. Well, like, gonna have 10 pounds of meat, 20 people, half a pound each time. That there's no other way to really do the math. So it's full. And so that was that. And so that kind of set the tone for it. And throughout the year, the whole school year, basically Paul would wait until Kevin would be away for a day. They worked on the same grade level team, so he kind of knew what was going on. And when Kevin would be away a day or two prior, he'd say, oh yeah, we're having Meat Club on Thursday. Sandy View's donated, 16 pounds of chicken, and we're gonna, do it up and have a great lunch and whatever. And so, of course, Kevin's away. And so then after that day, Kevin would return and the email thread would go around from everybody. Oh, it's so amazing. The chicken was so succulent. And I can't believe how Sandy View prepared it. They even brought salads this time. And, and
they sent us home with, like grab bags and
oh yeah, and and that would continue on. A couple weeks later, Kevin would be away, and so Meat Club's happening again, coincidentally on that day. And then it's going to be something from Freezing Brothers. They're shipping over pulled pork and helping out the community and yada yada, and we're all going to love it. And again, the people playing it up, emailing back the next day how it's so amazing and they can't believe it, and they've never had pulled pork quite so good, and so that kind of went on throughout the year. And then Kevin was, kind of frustrated with it, but taking it like a champ. And then at some point, Paul knew Kevin was away, held Meat Club again, and it was Donaire's from the Donaire place just down the road. And so Paul went down there and legit bought like the biggest Donaire I've ever seen in my life. I'm pretty sure he asked them to like build it custom, and he put it in the staff room and he took a picture of it in the container and he wrote Kevin's name on it, and he sent Kevin a text and said, hey Kevin, like we actually have meat left over this time. Like, so I'm saving this one for you. I'm putting it in the fridge. And he put it in the fridge, took a picture in the fridge, and then took it out and ate it. And he left a note written, sorry, I got hungry. Yeah. And Kevin comes the next day with no lunch. And like, we're all in the staff room because we know how this is going to unfold. And he comes in and he goes to grab his container, and like all he sees is little remnants of Donaire meat in there and this note. and he freaking loses his mind. And who would do this? And I can't believe it. And so then he sees one of our secretaries there, this kindest, quiet lady. He's like, Alyssa, who's writing is this? You know everybody's writing. Who's this? And he's losing his shit on her, and she's like not knowing what's going on. So we're all trying not to piss our pants laughing about Kevin losing his mind on this. And so that was, Meat Club continued on. And so finally, one of the last events of Meat Club was Paul discovered that Kevin was going to be away on a day of a provincial achievement test. And as a grade 9 teacher, that's
we call those PATs.
PATs.
So
Yeah. And that's unusual for a grade 9 teacher who, with kids taking it to be away, but something important, And so Paul's like, so he sends an email out, hey, we're having Meat Club on this day and it's whatever. And Kevin, I know you're going to be able to be there because it's like a big day for you, whatever. And we're going to make it special. We're ordering extra for you, yada, yada. And Kevin goes over, he's like, I can't believe it. Like, I'm not there. I've never missed a PAT in like 10 years. I can't be there, And Paul's like, well, that's unfortunate, whatever, And so one of the guys there, I think his family he brought some food from his family's restaurant and left a little bit laying around, so it's stale the next day as evidence. And that was kind of near the end of the year, of course, in June. So then we had our last teaching day of the year, our last staff meeting of the year. Kids are all done. It's June 30th. And the agenda, I send the agenda out, it's usually breakfast and wrap things up and clean up. And I have the agenda in there and I have Meat Club review on the agenda. And so, I'm working through the agenda with everybody in our staff meeting. And as I get to Meat Club review, you see Kevin literally turn his head and roll his eyes and stuff. And everybody knows what's going on. People have their phones out and we're recording this stealthily. And so I start talking about Meat Club and the events and the timeline. And I call Paul up and Kevin's like, blurts out like, why are we even talking about Meat Club? It has nothing to do with school, and all bitter and everything. And Paul comes up and he talks a bit about the success of Meat Club and how he's going to grow it the following year. And then he awards Kevin as the next honorary member, and he asks Kevin to come up and he's like, Kevin, you're honorary member for next year. Here's your award. And it was a big
sash.
Well, there's two things. One was a box. I think it was from maybe Calahoo Meats, like 10 pounds of hot dogs, which,
that's a lot of hot dogs.
Yeah. And then a t-shirt, and the t-shirt said on the front, there's only one rule about Meat Club. And on the back of the shirt, it says, there is no Meat Club.
Yeah.
And Kevin gets his stuff and he's laughing, whatever. And he goes and sits down and we continue on with the staff meeting. And again, this is all like, I have video of this. Everybody's recording it. And one of the teachers is like, hey, wait a minute. I don't think he gets it. And we stop. We're like, what do you mean? She's like, I don't think Kevin gets it. So she's like, Kevin, Meat Club isn't real. He's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, no, dude, like it never actually happened or existed. He's like, he can't believe it. He's losing his mind. But the donaire, and he's going through the whole year and trying to process it. And later that afternoon, he sends out the most amazing email about he went through the 5 stages of grief. Learning that Meat Club never did exist. The anger and the denial and
bargaining.
Yeah, and he took it like a champ. And he just that was the best prank I've ever observed.
See, and now that you say it, I mean, I've heard the story 10 times because it makes me laugh every single time, and I know how the story ends.
Yep.
That was stolen from MASH.
Oh, really? Meat Club is on MASH?
It wasn't Meat Club. It was about pranking.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Hawkeye saying to the new guy, BJ, who took over from Trapper, saying, I cannot be got. You cannot prank me. So then they make this bet that Hawkeye's going to get pranked within 24 hours. And if he doesn't, and if they can't get him, then this happens. Or if they do get him, then that happens. And they go through and everyone has a prank occur to them, from Colonel Potter to Father Mulcahy to Margaret to this one to that one. And then at the end of it, like Hawkeye, he like builds a barbed wire and bang, like he can't even sleep in the swamp. He's out in the compound and he builds his barbed wire thing, and he's got this golf club and his like soldier helmet on, and he's like protecting himself. And then he comes in, he hasn't slept in like 2 days. He's like, ha 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 ha. And then they're like, did you actually see the thing that I said? Did you actually see this? Did you like, wait a second. Like the best joke was the one that never happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, we got you by not getting you.
Yep.
That's Meat Club.
Yeah. That's Meat Club. Yep.
Anything else?
Oh no. I mean, like now that you got pranks going. Yeah,
Well, we can tell stories. We can, like I said, we could like stream Michaela's volleyball game. We can do whatever we want. There's no rules here.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of a podcast. No, I laugh about the pranks that take place, right, and all the things that people do. That we similar to the prank that never happened at Woodhaven. Again, that school is a blast, good staff. When I was a teacher there, myself and Mo.
See, I keep thinking of Colbert.
Oh yeah, Colbert. I'll tell you. Well, when Colbert got me, remind me to tell you about that one after. But me, Colbert, Mo, Coghill, we'd all prank each other. And for whatever reason, Roy McConnell, who is a teacher that'd been there forever and was awesome.
Well, you know of our my family's connection to the McConnells.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So Roy decided, for whatever reason, to get into the pranks. I honestly don't even know why. Just maybe because he saw we were having a good time.
So Roy, like, just for comparison, like Roy would be our parents' age. Like,
oh yeah. And we're all like,
we're kids. He's an adult.
Yeah, we're first, second year teachers in that building, and he's been there, 20 years.
Yeah.
And Mo was teaching science 9, and that was not his wheelhouse. He was a humanities guy, not a science guy. And Roy convinced Mo that the WMIS inspector was coming in to the classroom, and he says to Mo, like, he explained it, and Mo's like, "What are you talking about? Is that a thing?" And Roy's like, "Yeah." He's like, "But don't worry about it. That's not your problem. Like, you're not on a probationary contract or nothing, are you?" And Mo's like, yeah." So then Roy, of course, plays up and say, "Oh, well, that's going to be a problem for you, because like this will impact your contract status, dude. Like, you can't have the WMIS inspector coming in and seeing this freaking science lab and the disaster it is." And of course, Mo's in his first year in that room, in that building, in that lab, and it is freaking ridiculous. So,
but Mo didn't make it that way.
No, he just inherited this disaster that Roy convinced him had to be addressed if he wanted to have his contract status continue on positively. So then Roy went around to everybody, Liz, one of our excellent teachers who is a veteran too, and a few others, and Jerry, and said, like, nobody helps Mo. Nobody knows anything about it. Shut your yap. Just roll with the punches. And so, of course, Mo's going to talk to Liz. Liz, what do I do? I don't even know what these chemicals are. She's like, "I don't know, Mo. I'm busy. I got shit to do." And Jerry, same thing. Like, so Mo had nobody. So Mo would literally, and I shit you not, he would come in on weekends for months on end to organize the cabinets, clean the cabinets, organize the chemicals, label the chemicals, dispose of chemicals. He brought his wife in on Thanksgiving weekend, and they worked the cabinets because Roy had a guy from the high school phone in to schedule the WMIS inspection. So Mo was panicked, and they were in there. They spent their whole Thanksgiving weekend working this room. And yeah, and then finally, I don't know, like Roy people were like, "Dude, you're like this is torture. This is like getting to be like cruel."
This is
like,
mean.
Yeah, he's like, no, this is good. Keep rolling.
Yeah.
And and finally, after a couple of months, Roy finally told him that the WMIS inspector's coming, and Zoner, this guy they knew, came in and played it up a little and made fun of him, and then they busted it out that it wasn't a real thing. And like, I think Mo's wife was gonna like kill Roy. Like, she oh man, Dahlia, she's amazing. Like, and we were all at his house eating, not long after, weeks after. But yeah, that was a great gag. We just jumped right in. We tinfoiled his entire room after that, but it was
Roy's?
easy. Yeah, it was easy
because Mo didn't need any more.
No, Mo
harassment.
Mo had taken a good lump there emotionally and on his marriage, so we had to lay off a little.
And
bit.
You said Colbert got you?
Oh yeah, Colbert got me. So me, Mo, Colbert, and James, we would prank each other.
See, I don't know any of these people, but I still remember the names because there's so many, like, you spoke so fondly of all these people, they just resonated.
Yeah, no, we would prank each other just with little stuff. Like one time I moved, well, actually, so I shouldn't say we let up on Mo, actually. I don't know if it was before or after the Roy thing, but I moved his entire classroom.
So you guys have, like, within the education world, this anti-bullying, but it doesn't apply to fellow teachers.
That's a thing now, but I mean, it wasn't a thing 20 years ago. Like,
20 years ago.
So
we didn't know that it wasn't okay to bully teachers.
It's not bullying if they do it back. Mo got us too, So
is that really true?
Yeah, it's true. Like,
okay. I know I have a teacher watching right now, and I don't think she'd agree, but
it's conflict if two people are involved in it equally. It's bullying when one is targeting another with less power. Mo had as much power. He just, but yeah. So I moved Mo's entire room into the bathroom. Like, I took the posters off his walls, his computer, put them all up in the bathroom, and
like staff bathroom or like
staff bathroom.
Okay, not like student. No. That would be like
that's weird.
Fireable.
Yeah. The rest of it is all totally legit. So yeah, so like we would get Mo all the time. Colbert, we'd get each other. Colbert's thing was to take sardines and open them and then hide them in your room. And we didn't know that was his thing. So I taught in the special ed class. And so like awesome kids, but grade 7, 8, 9, and lots of needs, and not always, on the top of the hygiene scenario, like lots of junior high kids, but these guys
That's a
weren't.
junior high thing. That's
is.
not
It is.
anything to do with special needs.
Yep. That's a fair point. And so these boys, it was all boys, right? And so you have junior high boys.
And they're like, I don't know what happens to the chemistry.
Wow.
But it should be weaponized.
Well, and they go to gym class,
of
right?
course,
and
testosterone just milking everywhere.
May or may not be changing all those dynamics, and so they come to class and it's ripe. Like it's ripe all the time, and it's a portable, and we talked about portables, and so whatever, like that's fine. I'm just dealing with this. I'm like, Jesus, this is like it's bad. Like, and so whatever. But I just didn't think anything of it. Finally, I don't know how it came about, but we discovered that Colbert had been hiding sardines in people's classroom, and he put them in Mo's speaker up above his desk. He put a sardine can in his speaker and that kind of stuff. And so then I'm like, well, what the hell? And so I don't know how I came across it, but I discovered that Colbert had taped a half open can of sardines under my desk. And so this whole time that I thought these kids smelled like rotten ass, for all the reasons we just talked about, they're coming up to my desk asking for help, thinking, oh my God, this teacher smells like rotten ass because it's coming from my area. So like he totally got me. These kids must have thought I was the most like sick, It was a great prank. It was a good one.
Which is, there's like 7 other stories that came out of that story. But during your wedding, now you were my best man, I was your best man. But during your wedding, and that was actually a thing that happened, I started hiding beer cans in Blueberry Hall where the reception took place for your wedding. I don't know, and that's the long game, is like we hid beer cans all over that place. I don't know if they've ever been found.
Yeah. I've been to that hall a bunch of times and haven't even thought about it.
I want to think that my public speaking abilities have actually developed a little bit better, because during your wedding, I didn't plan anything. And that was a fault of mine at that age. I didn't know that I had to give a speech. I didn't know that it needed to be planned. I didn't know that you need to put a little bit of thought into it. And I remember the reaction I got, because we're like, on behalf of the groomsmen, we're supposed to talk about the bridesmaids. Not supposed to call them Clydesdales. Didn't mean it in a bad way. I meant that they were hardworking.
Workhorses, yes.
Apparently that wasn't right. And when you give the speech and everyone in the crowd goes, ooh, you did something wrong. So if you ever, if you guys, I don't want to say when you guys get remarried, but if you guys ever renew your vows, I want another shot at that speech.
You'll redeem yourself, eh?
No, I don't. I can't say that for sure, but I think I can do better. I don't know if I'll probably be drunk.
I still think you'll do better. Yeah.
I can do work. I hope so.
Oh yeah. All right. I'll keep that in mind. If she doesn't kick me to the curb, we got that.
You guys, where's my, hold on. I swear to God, I didn't put this here. Like I use this all the time.
Yeah.
So it says 2002.
Yep, 21 years. Last June was 21, I think.
Wait a sec, the math checks out. So say 3.5 years.
25, yeah, maybe.
3.5 years. Okay, I'm gonna start working on it. I don't know, I can't even remember who the bridesmaids were.
Yeah, I remember. Well, Megan Rankin was the maid of honor.
Okay.
And I know she'll kill me for not remembering all of this, but that's the one that jumps out right away.
Wow. This was an inadvertent bus chuck. Yeah. I didn't mean to chuck you in. You should know who all the bridesmaids are.
I should, but I mean, I'll have to go back to the picture and look at it.
I'm divorced and I can still remember all the bridesmaids.
I don't know. It's a blur, man. It's been 21 long years. Gray hair like you too.
Hey. I've earned these. It's not, they're highlights.
Highlights.
They're experience highlights.
I say you paid for gray highlights?
No. This is the highlights of experience.
Yeah.
Obviously. This is okay. So just so you know, you look like you. and I look distinguished.
Hey, I'll take it.
I'll tell you what, I can see your beard though.
Yeah, well,
And it's like
it grays fast if it
it's
grows out.
those hairs gave up.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
Like whatever. We're gonna like you're gonna grow us. We're gonna look like mice.
dog water.
Yeah, well, there you go. Excellent
right.
news.
That's right.
Anything else you want to throw at it?
No, it's been great to connect and talk about old times. It's been a long time.
Yeah, but nothing changes.
Nope.
It's all the same. I'm surprised we can remember half the
Yeah.
shit from there's like 12,000 more stories.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it could go a long time. Could do a whole hours on just one specific topic.
Which one do you want to do?
I don't want to do another one now, but you could pick, like you said, you could pick school, neighborhood, family, like sport. You could pick any one of those, and we could talk for a couple hours. Wouldn't you think we got 40 plus years of conversation, right?
Just because right now I'm seeing all this stuff about Nirvana's Nevermind, which that kind of music didn't resonate with you the same way it did with me. I remember exactly where I was when that album came out. I remember exactly what we did that had a very negative effect on you.
Oh,
So I was dating Rianne way back in the day, and she was the one that brought that. We were at Bonnie Morrison's house out at Duffield, and we managed to pick up the Chevette and we dragged it between the house and a power pole so that there's no way you could drive.
Yeah.
Four of us did that. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it was like six of us, but there was also ice, and we slid that between.
Yeah. No escape. Yeah.
We sat in that house and we listened to that album, and then like we had a few drinks. We went outside, and between like Jason Sholey and Pete Spence and George and myself and probably Dean and like Roger Cord, we decided to move your car.
Yeah. Oh man.
Do you remember getting to your car and be like,
what the fuck? Yeah, I do. I remember that one. And then I don't know if it was
and
before.
the good news is, do you know why you can say fuck?
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
That's why.
Yeah.
Hold on. Right. Let's try it one more time.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
I love it.
Yeah, Major League.
I had to get that in.
Another classic movie.
Do you remember getting to your car?
Oh, geez. I remember the fact that I was like, how did this happen? Like thinking like, what the, like,
what happened to my car?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if it was before that or after that, but I remember George Erickson had a little, whatever the version was of an Austin Mini at that time, even smaller than the Chevette. And people would do that to him all the time at the high school, move his car and like wedge it in between two other cars, turn it 90 degrees and put it in there, like just do dumb shit to his car too, because it was easy enough to move.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, for some.
Well, because I also made sure like I was back in the house, like grooving to the tunes, so that when you got back out, it was like, But that was also the same time. It wasn't the same place, but that was also the advent of Four Freds and a Pete.
That's a long time ago too. Yeah, Pete Spans. Is he still around?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, I just mean around like geographically, right? Like I haven't seen kind of.
I still talk to Sholey from time to time.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's still married to Frenchie.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Huh. I talk more to Aaron than I talk to George, but I still hear from those guys from time to time.
And are they around reasonably
close?
No,
They're in like Missoula.
Okay, so not reasonably close.
No, that's where you can like when you're in law enforcement there, you can really fuck people up.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
George and law enforcement. Jesus.
Huh. Like out of all the things that all of us could have ever done that nobody ever would have guessed, that wins.
Yeah, because he was kind of a clown.
And that's coming from us.
Yeah.
We were the ones that got pulled to the side on our first trip to on our trip to the States.
About the airport etiquette.
Like, you too. And this is like 2 decades before 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
No jokes about saying hello to your friend Jack. No jokes about grenades. No jokes about bombs. No jokes about like you two. Don't say anything until we get through security. Don't even look at each other. Actually, you go first, you go back. You because you're like,
Yep. Didn't want us to fuck it up for everyone else.
and George was the clown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were the ones that weren't allowed to even talk when we went through
Airport.
security.
Yep. Yep. Good times.
We'll have to do this again, my man.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Really?
Yeah, I'm around.
Okay.
I'm local.
Oh, that's cool. You're still in the area.
Still in the area.
All right. I'm going to turn you off.
All right. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You don't have to leave. There he goes. That's my my good friend, Shaye Patras. I don't know that I'm really comfortable saying best friend, but definitely longest friend. Obviously we get to know other people, we get to spend time, but all around good dude. That was fun. I know I'll have to make a few notes, and now that he has an idea what this thing's all about, I'm sure he'll come back with a few more stories as well. But that's it. Next week I am off. Be on vacation down in the US and so we'll be back in 2 weeks. No idea with who and no idea what we're going to talk about, but I will ramble on like I always do. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you then.